It's the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. One of two we're doing this weekend. This one is on the graded stakes races at Aqueduct and Gulfstream Park. I'm Tom Leach, along with Keeneland's Director of Simulcasting, Jim Goodman. And we'll finish this up by giving you our pick for the cross-country Pick 4 bet that is part of the Fox Sports 1 telecast that will feature the two big races at Gulfstream and two of the three graded stakes out at Santa Anita. Jim, let's start with the Grade 3 Toboggan up at Aqueduct. You've got 4-year-old and up sprinters going 6 furlongs. Saludos Amigos, the big favorite in here. Can you beat him?
Yeah, out of all the races we handicapped for this weekend, this is the easiest one, I think. I don't think I was against him the last time out in the Gravesend, but he looked so good. I went back and watched that. There's no way in the world Me One of Rose is going to beat him. And if you look at the other horses in here, the only horse I thought that had a shot. First of all, I'm going to use Saludos Amigos. I don't see Dad's Caps beating him, so my exacta play is going to be, I'm going to throw Double Down again in there. Just thinking this horse is getting much better right now. It's a huge jump in class, had never run in a graded stakes before, and actually was claimed 5 races back for $50,000. But since then, second, first, third, first with a 104 buyer last time out in Aqueduct. On the inner track, it was a sloppy track, so I don't know how much that moved him up, but he came from way out of it on normally a speed favoring track. So he's pretty versatile, so I'm going to play Double Down again. I like Michelle Nevin. She's 32% at Aqueduct and 27% overall for 2014. She's a great trainer, very underrated trainer. So I'm going to play Saludos Amigos and hoping I'll get a price with Double Down again.
Yeah, we're in the same ballpark there. I actually picked Double Down again, mainly because the value. I think he's an improving horse, just like you mentioned, and you're going to get good value on a horse that's probably, well, he is in his lifetime best form. It's just, is he going to be good enough to beat Saludos Amigos? So I'm going to take him for a win bet and then key him with Saludos Amigos and then maybe one with Dad's Caps just in case Saludos Amigos would throw in a clunker. But I think the 2-5 box, like you, is the way to go here. The 8th race is the Grade 3 Withers, another step on the road to the Kentucky Derby. 3-year-olds going 1 mile and a 16th. I like to beat favorites, as anybody who listens to this podcast knows, but I couldn't find anybody to beat El Kabir in here. I just think he's too good for these. So there's some maidens coming from really good connections, Pletcher and Chad Brown, et cetera. And, you know, one of them could jump up and be good enough, but I don't see anything that makes me convinced that any of them's any kind of a cinch. So my play is going to be El Kabir and General Bellamy in a box. And General Bellamy's gotten better as the distances have increased. Nothing spectacular, but just I like a horse that's improving with longer distance. Had a little trouble last time, but was still a closing third to El Kabir way back, but still did hit the board. So I'm going to box the 6 and 7. El Kabir is the win pick in the Withers for me. How about you?
I agree that El Kabir is a deserving favorite. I was going to take a shot here with McLaughlin's got 4 horses in Mike Watchmaker's top 20 this week. He and Pletcher each have 4 horses, and Pletcher's got like 10 times the horses that Kieran does. And so he likes classy class. The maiden breaker at Belmont was very impressive, won by 4 with an 88 buyer. And anytime you break that 85 mark in a maiden race, you're really looking good as a 2-year-old. He came back in the Remsen. I'm afraid that the Remsen is turning out not to be a very good race because those horses that have come back have not run that well. But I'm gonna give him a pass for that. A lot of times these 2-year-olds, for whatever reason, just don't show up. And I think that he's probably the horse with the most upside simply because he ran the best new race as a first-time starter. So taking that into consideration, I'm going to put him with El Kabir. But El Kabir is a deserving favorite. They interviewed Mr. Zayat and wondering why they kept him in New York with all the snow. He seems to thrive up there, and he's run 2 great races. So I think he's going to stay in New York probably for the Wood Memorial, and this will be a perfect tune-up. So probably a good favorite, but classy class might have a shot at a little bit of a price.
Let's go to Gulfstream Park, and we're going to take a look at the last two stakes races of their lineup. And the 12th race is the one that starts the cross-country Pick 4. It's the Grade 1 Gulfstream Park Turf Handicap at 1 mile and an 1/8, obviously on the turf. And I'm going against my better judgment here and going to take another shot on Slumber. It's his second start for Chad Brown, and I think I picked him last time, but he didn't run well, and yet Chad Brown puts him back in a Grade 1. And looking at the other horse, Imagining's coming off a long layoff. That's probably the one I would take if I didn't take Slumber. Wish for Pletcher certainly is a contender. I think Golden Rifle's an interesting price play. I hate the post, but I've seen Marty Wilson horses get good quick down there at Gulfstream. So I'll use all of those with Slumber. Smart play might even be a 4-horse exacta box, but I'm going to give Slumber one more shot here because I think I'll get a nice price. What about you?
I took Imagining, and you didn't like him because of the long layoff. I kind of like him because of the layoff. Shug's pretty good at getting the horse ready. He's 24%, 61 to 180 days. The horse, Imagining, ran behind Main Sequence the last 3 races, and he only got beat ahead in the Sword Dancer at Saratoga. And Main Sequence was close to Horse of the Year. I mean, he was 4 for 4 last year. If you remember, he won every race he showed up for, and Imagining ran behind him 3 times. And I think that because of that, he's the class of the race. I could not throw out Slumber. I like your horse. I like Lochte a little bit.
Loves that track.
The 8. Lochte always shows up. You know, he's 4 for 6 at Gulfstream, and you underestimate him, he jumps up and beats you. But War Correspondent with Christophe Clement and Joe Bravo. It was a war front horse with only 2 North America starts, so he's got a lot of upside. Wish, I think it's a good race, and I'm going to key Imagining the 3 over the ones we mentioned. Wish the 1. I'm going to use War Correspondent 6, Slumber the 7, and Lochte the 8 below, and maybe all in the last leg, because even Amen Kitten's got a shot getting the money. Manchurian High's got a shot. It's a well matched race, but I just think Imagining might be the class of the race, so I'm going to go there.
13th race is the Grade 1 Don Handicap, 4-year-olds and up at 9 furlongs. And you've got Leah, the defending champion here. Where did you land?
Right on him. I was not convinced that he would come back off that long layoff, but he did, and he was very impressive in the House Hope, which is exactly what he did last year. He came off a shorter layoff, obviously, and they had high hopes for him last year after he won the Don with a 114 buyer. House Hope, I was against him, but I'm on him today, and I think Lee is. It was a very gutsy performance in House Hope off that long layoff. It's a perfect prep race. Last year, he jumped up from a 101 to a 114 in that race, and he ran a 107 first time out. If you believe in buyer figures, if he jumps up another 5 or 6 points, they're not going to catch him. So I think he's the class of the field. I'm going to use Constitution and Commissioner though, because they were great at 3, and they both had success at Gulfstream. Constitution is undefeated at Gulfstream, including the Florida Derby last year. But they're just turned 4, and Lee's got a little bit of a experience edge on them, but they've got a lot of upside. And the other horse that I liked in here that probably is going to be a price is Blue Tone, the 9. Bob Hess had this horse entered in the California Chrome in the San Antonio, where California Chrome and Shared Belief are showing up. Obviously, he didn't want any part of them, but he shipped them all the way across country. The horse just worked at Santa Anita, a 59 bullet, first out of 59 horses on February 1st. So the horse is ready to run, and he ships him across country to run in a $500,000 race versus a $500,000 race in his backyard. I think Bob Hess is a pretty sharp horseman, and I'm going to take a shot on him getting in the money below Lee. But that's where I stand.
I took Constitution in here. Main angle for me is he's a Grade 1 winner at this distance, at this track, and he's not going to be the favorite. And I'm going to take a shot with that. Got to use Lee with him, and I would also use Commissioner. But I'm going to key off Constitution. Now let's take a look at the cross-country pick 4. In the Gulfstream Park Turf Handicap, I'm going to use Slumber, Wish, Imagining, and Golden Rifle. In the Don, I'm going to use all 3 of the ones we both talked about. In the San Marcos, I'm going to use Quadrivium, Dynamic Sky, and Finnegan's Wake, and then I'm going to single Shared Belief. So that's 4 by 3 by 3 by 1. What's your ticket?
Yeah, and remember, we don't know what the post times are on these races right now as we're taping this. So it's those 4 races. We're not sure. I know the Gulfstream race is the first race, and it finishes with the Santa Anita race, but you might check the middle too. The Gulfstream races, I'm going to use the horses that I mentioned. I'm not going to single Imagining. I'm going to use Imagining, the 3, the 1 Miss a Wish, the 6 War Correspondent, the 7 and 8 Slumber, and Lochte. Then I'm going to single Lee, the 4 horse in the Don Handicap. Going to Santa Anita in the San Marcos, I'm going to use the 3 horses that I mentioned, the 4 horses I actually mentioned coming out of the same race. which would be the 1 Finnegan's Wake, the 2 Patriotic and Proud, the 4 Power Pads, and my top choice is the 8 Dynamic Sky. On an alternative ticket, I would single Dynamic Sky. I really like him in that race. And then the San Antonio, I would use the 2 horses on California Chrome and Shared Belief and take a stand with those 2.
So best of luck to everybody on your cross-country pick 4 this weekend. It's a fun bet to play with, along with the Fox Sports 1 telecast. Also, the Derby Future Wagers are open this weekend. Another round of Derby Future Book wagering concludes on Sunday, so you can watch the races, the Derby preps, and then make your ticket via the pari-mutuel wagering format of the Kentucky Derby Future Wager. For Jim Goodman, I'm Tom Leach for the In the Money podcast at KeenelandSelect.com.